we're gonna go over the single leg RDL today. Single leg RDL, again, we're kind of going over the unilateral movements for rear leg elevated split squat. And then working more of the posterior chain with the single leg RDL. So setup for this, we're gonna start off with a little bit more, I'd say it's an easier version before we go to an actual single leg where the foot that you would use to stabilize wouldn't be there, it would be in the air. And we'll go over some common faults for that too. So Coach Price, I'm gonna have him demonstrating today. The setup, whichever leg we're gonna be working on, is gonna be flat on the ground. The support leg, to help with that balance, we're gonna have that toe right by the heel of the leg that we're working. Okay, so setup, we're gonna have a soft knee to start. We're gonna make sure that we're locked down in the midsection, so tight belly, tight back, and then we're gonna lead back with our hips, maintaining that tight back. So you wanna pretend there's a wall back here and you're trying to touch your butt to the wall, maintaining some tension in that hamstring. Go ahead and push that knee back just a little bit more. Really getting the tension and stretch through the hamstring, and then when we're coming back forward, we're gonna be pulling with the hips and the hamstring to that top position. And you realize too, see here, that knee is staying bent, okay? That is very important. All right, so go ahead and do another rep. Awesome, back up.
Go ahead and give me one more rep.
Tight, tight, tight. Good. Okay, some common faults. Bryson, you wanna do one where people try to squat it a little bit more than an actual RDL or deadlift? So the knee stays too far forward, the butt's back, and you probably don't feel as much tension in the hamstring, right?
Yeah.
So we're not working that posterior chain as much. So keeping that knee back will help fix that fault. If you need to, go ahead and give them a target to keep their knee back, a little tactile cue. Another common fault while we're in that position, actually trying to hinge too far at the hips. If you don't have the flexibility, you're going to get into some spinal flexion, which we don't want either. So go ahead and let the chest drop. You see something like that, they're trying to get a little bit more range of motion at the expense of their back. You don't want to see that either. All right, come back up, boom. All right, the more advanced version, we're actually gonna take that support foot off of the ground, so it's gonna be working in balance a little bit more. It's a little tricky, so be sure if you need to, you can start with some support, hand on a rig or a PVC. What we're gonna do is start in the same position, soft knee, tight core, tight back, and we're gonna lead back the hip, leg coming up, good, and then back up to that start position. Good. All right, so common faults for this one, people tend to turn this into like a glute airplane. So when they're coming down or over to that side, they let that hip come up. You wanna be sure to keep your hips square during that movement. So show them one more from the front view or two more. Push that knee back just a little bit. Good, and then back up. See his hips are nice and square. Go ahead and let this right hip roll. This, you're actually decreasing the tension that you have on the hip that you're trying to work. That's a common fault also. So be sure whenever you have people do that, that they're not cheating the movement. Go ahead and come up. That's it. Two versions of the single leg RDL. Keep an eye out. You know, coaches, make sure your athletes are doing it correctly. If you're doing it yourself, just be sure you can use a video, something like that, to go through and check your form. All right, thanks for joining us, guys.